doesn't work. I'm too tall. It's fine. Everything's fine. I feel like a real adult today. I have done things. I have a bowl of chicken nuggets. My nails are painted. Not this one. Look at that. Tragic. Not sponsored, but if you want to, they say, dress for the job you want. Dead. Hey guys, welcome back to the Hideaway. It's me, Douglas, and today we'll be breaking down it's the 7th or the 8th entry. It's a number. It's the next entry called Atomic Bomb. I'll leave the link for the video somewhere up here so you guys can check it out and then come watch me break it down. So this one's a little bit shorter, but a little bit more emotional, like story-wise. So got the title from it. I can't remember the exact like quote in the meme, but it was just like one of those like depressed, like sad memes from like a movie. And it was like all these people are walking by, not realizing that you've like survived your own atomic bomb. Like depending on, it could be anything, and like no one will know that because you're just walking around like normal. And the the word atomic bomb was like, whoa, that's right, because a lot of people sometimes heartbreak is something so big for some people, and sometimes it's so little for other people. So thought it was very fitting. So I'm kind of telling two stories of like different types of atomic bombs that people would go through. First story isn't really my own, but similar themes to what we've had before. And then the second story is actually more personal. It's about my mother, which she already knows. And then in the third section, we kind of just explain how, like, again, like, we're all going through our own different things, and whether or not we like it, we're all broken. So we'll go ahead and start. We're gonna start breaking it down. Lego. So our first section. Crisp with the leaves on that fall trip to my grave. This is where I buried my heart. So again, we just have that strong imagery. You're in a graveyard. If you watched the video, you saw I used some graveyard imagery in that. It's really only pertinent for this first section, but buried my heart because I was heartbroken. So the air stayed chilled like a grudge between a 6-year grudge between best friends. And that, again, I wanted to really like hammer it in that this is like an uncomfortable like situation and scenario. Like you are like literally broken, and like the worst thing that you could do is like not talk to your best friend for 6 years, and it's equivalent to that. I can still hear my heartbeat faintly underneath the rotted soil. Spooky season. And you carved your initials on the tombstone like it was a prank egged on by your brother. So again, we're in like a metaphor, obviously, like no one's actually dead, but this is basically saying like the person that broke my heart, the character's heart, was like rubbing salt in the wound. Essentially, it was like all his friends or his brothers were like, haha, like you got that bitch or whatever, and it just like you see that aftermath and you're like, wow. Okay. The goosebumps on my arm remind me to breathe in the death in the air. So the ties just more into just like the graveyard imagery, but I think it's kind of more like symbolic that like you're getting all these chills and like you're feeling so emotional about it that you have to remind yourself to breathe in this disaster, and like it's still a part of you, and like you can't just ignore it. Like you can't just stop breathing. You have to like take it in. Maybe one little disaster amongst the perils of man. So again, it's like this one little instant for someone else can be like catastrophic, but to someone else it's just like whatever. I never recovered from the atomic bomb that was the I love you from your lips. So that was this person's like destruction to them, was someone saying I love you and then breaking their heart. Heroes rise and heroes fall, but I was the villain in your story. And that's always been a quote that kind of stuck with me, is like, you're the hero in your own story, but that doesn't mean you're the hero in someone else's story. And heroes rise and heroes fall. Like they win or they get broken down on both sides regardless, but the character can't call himself the hero for the other person's story because the other person sought to destroy them in the end. Such an end to meet in such a way that meant everything. So basically saying like the way the relationship ended, or in like the hero villain stories, like the way that it ended, like, it meant everything to this one person. And so, again, we're kind of like concluding that story that, like, this is like the one example, and then now we're moving into our next example. And it all makes sense in the third section, so we're just gonna keep going through the sections. So the next section, again, this does pertain to my mother, and she already knows. She already called me out for it, so here we are. So silver was the tongue of the man who broke my mother's spirit. Talking about my birth father, who, it's a no from me, son. Her crippled fingers ached as she clung to familiarity, so they got divorced, and she was wrecked by it, obviously. They were married for like 20 years or whatever. And so, like, she didn't know what to do with herself. And, like, to watch it, like, I think I was like 14, 15 when it was all going down. And to watch that, it was just kind of devastating. And, like, again, we can't really understand each other's atomic bombs, but, like, if you witness the actual, like, the explosion happen, I feel like it just kind of sticks with you. And I think that's why it resonated and came back to me when I was writing this piece, because it was her atomic bomb. Lashed out at everyone around her, her soul ascended and found reprieve at the stroke of dawn. So she was, again, I'm kind of a wreck after the divorce separation happened, and she kind of lost herself a little bit. And when I say her soul ascended, I mean, like, she finally, like, I feel like that part of her, like, died. And it found reprieve. It found peace. She was not the same mother. Broken from a spell of abuse and cigarette ashes jammed into her eye sockets. That line can kind of speak for itself a little bit. But again, she was not the same mother because she was now a new woman born from the ashes of her former self that was in that relationship with this horrible man. She wanders the halls of this house, echoing and foretelling my own demise. So now I'm kind of relating it back to me where it's like, I've seen her go through this, and now I feel like it's kind of affected me, like, moving forward in life, like trying to find emotional connections with people, because now all I can think of is like this situation. And so now moving forward, I'm like, that's going to happen to me. Like, I'm never going to find love, like, whatever. I'm fine. She finally recovered from the atomic bomb that was a man saying, I did this to you on purpose. So again, her atomic bomb was the divorce, but like, it was this man, this horrible man that was like, I did all these things to you and I don't care. And she recovered from it. She got past it. I mean, we never really like 100% move past things, I don't think. Can't speak on behalf of my own mother, but this is just how I think it happened and how it went down. And this is how I feel about it. Love you, Mom. Heroes triumph and heroes cry. So again, the hero imagery stays because, again, I think that people that survive these types of catastrophes are heroes in a sense. So it kind of works. So when they triumph and they cry, so it's like they are humans still. Like, they will have their ups and they will still have their downs. She vanquished the demon she became. So I think, again, like, who she was in that marriage was not who she is now, which is, I think, a better thing. She wasn't a horrible mother, but like, she definitely is like a different and better person, I think, because of all that now. Broken, but still beautiful and bashful and brave. So again, I was like, we're all broken from like one atomic bomb in our lives. So, but she's still a beautiful person because of it. And she's broken, but that's okay. And it might not be okay because the third section is kind of, it feels very grim. And I thought it was going to be more of like a like happy poetic ending, but we'll just go through it. To tell the many stories of agony is to tell the same story with different metaphors. So again, even the first story section wasn't really my story, but again, like, you can relate to like what happened to my mother with the first story, because again, it was all about a broken heart. And a lot of it is like the same story, but it's just different ways of telling the story. There's different experiences, there's different events, like, but it's still kind of like the same outcome. So we all have an atomic bomb in our lives. We're all surviving our own atomic bombs, a walking memorial museum decorated with flags on coffins saying we made it out. And that line's actually a reference to a Fall Out Boy song. It's on Fully I Do, and it's one of my favorite songs. I can't remember the name, and I'm sorry. But on that one is like, the same war his dad rehearsed, came back with flags on coffins and said we won. Yeah, so it's like that kind of imagery metaphor that I like, because it's so bizarre to me that like so many people can die in war, but we're still like, we did it, we still won, but like at what cost? So like, again, I feel like now it's kind of like getting into like a more of like a pessimistic side of like surviving atomic bombs, because like we went through so much, but we're like, oh, we're still here, but I'm like, at what cost are we still here? Like we are still like bleeding out onto each other, onto ourselves. So it kind of gets pessimistic, and I'll explain more at the end why it kind of went that path, but here we are. But we never make it out, not in one piece, not as we were. So again, that really speaks to my mom, what I said about her. Like, she wasn't the same person, and it is for the better. And some people do come out for the better, but some people do come out for the worse still too. Like even in the first story that I was telling, I was like, I don't know that character. So again, it's not really personal to me, but like, I don't know if that person made it out. Like, granted, I made it up so I could tell you, but do you know what I'm saying? Carry the weight, become a burden. This is your purpose. You were never meant to be anything else but a piece of discarded love notes and empty jewelry boxes. Again, very pessimistic, being like, as soon as you experience your atomic bomb, you're basically like done. And it's like, you're gonna be this forever. And it's not always the case. I will explain at the end. So stay sad, selfishly secluded, and somber. We all would understand, but not really. So it's like, again, it's like, we've all gone through this thing, and now we're like, just a sad, like, shell of a human. And again, like, we all would understand to a degree, but we would never like 100% fully understand the atomic bombs that other people are facing, because again, similar outcomes and stories, but different metaphors. So like, we're all experiencing it in our own different ways. And so again, we could be like, oh, I understand completely, but we never will. We'll never understand each other through our catastrophes 100%. Yeah. Keep your shrapnel lodged in your rib cages. Breathing is achy and harsh like a rip from a bong lit with the fires of a volcano. I tend to like lack of breathing metaphors. We're not suicidal, it's fine. But again, it's like just some more imagery, like in the shrapnel lodging case, like obviously back into war metaphors, like we've survived this, but we still have our bruises and our scars from it. So we're gonna keep that with us, and it's gonna hurt, and that's just how we're gonna be. So we're gonna keep that pain with us, and it's gonna hurt. Heroes are flawed, heroes are weak. So I don't have like a parallel here. I'm just like trying to, again, point out like heroes are humans. We're all human. We are flawed, and most times we are still weak. So it's like, this is who we are. A smile a day won't keep yourself at bay. So again, very pessimistic, but I'm basically saying that like, you can tell yourself to be happy and like get over it, but like at the end of the day, it's not going to keep all that at bay. So that was Atomic Bomb, and it's very super depressing. But like, again, like I wrote it very pessimistically, but like from like, I'm hoping that like the way I wrote it can like spark some like hope in people, because hopefully they don't want to be that. They don't want to be a broken memorial museum. They don't want to be discarded love notes. They don't want to be empty jewelry boxes. Like, they don't want to be that. And so I feel like writing it this way and having these stories outlined this way is hopefully going to be like, you know what, I'm not that. And I don't think I'm that. Like, again, I got very pessimistic at the end, but after I finished it, I was like, that's not who I am. That's not what I want to be. And so it kind of was like reassuring to be like, yeah, I can say that I'm going to be this, but I don't want to be that. So I'm going to be happy. Am I still going to be sad, selfishly secluded and somber? Yes. But I'm still me. I'm still here. I'm still alive. And hopefully there's no more atomic bombs to survive. I've had a few of my own. Didn't really touch on them here, but again, this is more like a conceptual piece with some personal stuff intermixed in with stuff from my mom. So yeah, excellent. All right, guys, so that was my breakdown of Atomic Bomb. Sorry it was a little short, but yeah, I'm ready to get chugging along. So the next entry will be coming out soon. Leave a comment below of your favorite part of this piece. If I didn't explain something correctly, if you want something else explained, leave a comment, and I will see you next time in the hideaway. Thank you. Writing tips. I guess don't be afraid to conceptualize your writing. Like, it doesn't have to be so clear cut. It doesn't have to be like similes, metaphors, imagery, blah, blah. Like, I feel like you can just, again, it goes back to like stream of conscious that I kind of do. It's like, you get it in your brain and you start writing, and you just have to keep writing. something doesn't fit, get rid of it. But I think just trust your gut, and again, just conceptualize. Don't be afraid to conceptualize. It's fun. You can tell stories like this and not have it relate to you, just like Two Waves. It didn't relate to me personally at all, but those feelings and emotions did. So again, I relate to some of the things that I wrote here, but it's not all about me, and I still think you can convey and capture an emotion as long as you feel strongly about the story you're telling.